Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a model from a line launched in 2019 from the Her Majesty's Armed Forces collection. This is the Bremont Argonaut Azure Diver. It is blue, it is a diver, it is an Argonaut, and it's all of those things, plus it bears the officially licensed heraldry of the three primary armed forces of the United Kingdom. So the watch is a dive watch, 42 millimeters in stainless steel, fairly thin at 12.9 millimeters thick. From lug to lug, it's 49.6 millimeters, and if we include the end links to the bracelet, it's actually quite broad, 55 millimeters across the wrist, but with the universal 20 millimeter lug spacing, so you'll have many aftermarket and OEM strap options to throw on this watch. Now, on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, we're approaching the limit with the bracelet. I would say this watch, because it is substantial, it's not a large diameter case, but it is broad. So wear it on a wrist of at least 15 centimeters circumference. It is, however, thin. Less than 13 millimeters with a sloped bezel is a good score for a dive watch, and maybe it's because this watch features a thin base caliber, maybe it's because it has a solid case back, which is thinner than a display, but it really is quite slim for what it is. Taking a look at the bracelet, you can see it is a design that is sporty with a little bit of an air of a dress bracelet mixed in. The dressy element is the use of the polished intermediates. That's unexpected, but it also helps to distinguish this watch from the universally copied Rolex 3-link Oyster design. This doesn't look like that. We have removable links fixed by screws, including a little half link in there, a substantial single fold to point clasp. You can see it is a twin trigger system, so you have to press both triggers to pop it open, and then you have a little bit of sizing flexibility here. You can see we have those full-size links, then another half link, and then 3 divots, so you can use your strap tool to change the anchoring point of the bracelet inside of the clasp. Rolling over the case, you can see it's a familiar design that we've seen on other Bremont watches, but we don't have the traditional triptych case design where the mid case is deeply recessed and anodized or galvanized contrasting color. Now, this is face-hardened steel. It's been hardened significantly, a couple of microns deep, and it is more scratch resistant than standard 316 or 904L steel. I love this little expanding bevel that runs around the outer tip of the lugs. A rare mark of elegance on a large and rugged sports watch. We have a striation pattern around the midcase that is handsome, a little bit reminiscent of the Breitling Premier. You can see that the bezel is stepped back somewhat from the case band to visually pair the mass, and then it's all of satin finish with a conical profile. We have 2 crowns, as you can see. Both of them are screw down. I'll demonstrate what they do. One of them operates the roto-click bezel, and so I'm able to use this internal rotating bezel and quickly line it up with the minute hand. We're going to do a Lume Shot here. This is a dive watch, so it needs a lot of lume, and it has a lot of lume. You'll appreciate the fact that it's not just the luminescent pearl like on most divers, it's the full bezel that is lume, so you can more easily judge the passage of individual minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's quite easy to see. And in the feature that every dive watch should include, we have a fully lumed seconds hand as well. The dial is designed to reference the Dirty Dozen Ministry of Defense watches that were built for the British Armed Forces during the 1940s, so-called because there were 12 individual suppliers for that contract. Well, this watch references those, but not quite as much as the standard Argonaut. This is the Azure model, which means it has a lovely and lustrous, bright metallic blue dial. We have a matte blue, orange, and somewhat lime-toned Rehot-style bezel outboard that you can use for timing. And then the center really is quite metallic with that orange minute hand designed to be as easily distinguished in the day as it is in the dark. The watch, of course, has a conversion factor down at 6 o'clock, which is closer than most brands will get. Let's roll through the date change here. Most brands will equate 300 meters with 1,000 feet, which isn't quite true. Here we have 300 meters equated with 980, which is closer. It should be about 984, but I guess the 0 is a nice round number. Bremont settled on that. You can see that the watch does include 2 subsidiary setting modes. We have hacking or stop seconds, and then we also have a quick set date, so we can rapidly cycle that date if the watch runs down or encounters an irregular length month. The timepiece has a solid case back, and this is where you see the the heraldry of the armed forces, the three primary armed forces. It's not quite so neat in the United States, as we have a Army that also has its own Air Force. We have a Navy that has its own Army in the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps has its own Air Force. We have an Air Force that operates in the air but also in space. Then we have a separate Space Force, and we have a separate local Navy called the Coast Guard that becomes part of the DoD during wartime. Got all that? Good. It's a lot simpler in England. It's a handsome, attractive case back that's properly themed to fit the model and the model line. Now, the movement that's inside is a Sellita SW300 based on an ETA 2892A2 architecture, but a few differences. It's a 25 joule rather than a 21, but it's a chronometer certified top-of-the-line grade, the highest available, so it's a COSC chronometer inside of this London-made, British-made watch. So Swiss heart and a British body. The timepiece has the automatic winding with bidirectional action, 42-hour power reserve, stop seconds, quick set, beats away at 8 beats per second, 25 joules, COSC certified, and 300 meters, which is 984.252 feet. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.